This is our bulk CO2 tank. Right now this is in really good condition. We don't have any issues. But if you did have some issues, here's what you would look for. You see any kind of ice buildup around the bottom of the tank, any ice buildup up here, that means that somewhere in the system you have a CO2 leak and you need to find it as soon as you can. That doesn't mean that the leak is on the tank. It could be on one of the syrup pumps. It could be somewhere up front in the system up front, but you need to find the leak and get it taken care of immediately. One more thing. Right up here in the middle, that gauge right here, that's how you tell how much CO2 you got left. So right now we're pretty full, so no worries. Over here, we have our backup CO2 tank. In case we ever run out of bulk CO2, then we got a backup tank that we could switch on. What you would do is you would literally just trace the CO2 line from the backup tank all the way over here, this line right here, and then you find your bulk to backup cutover switch. So if the bulk runs out, all you got to do is flip this from bulk to backup, and then back over here. Back over here, then you would just open the backup tank until you get a pressure reading. Okay? See an issue with this where the lights pulled up and we have a leak, we don't expect you to find the leak and fix it yourself. We just want you to tell somebody. Tell your GM, tell your supervisor, and let them take care of it. The point is, it needs to be handled ASAP. This right here is your air compressor. This is what pushes syrup through the syrup lines to make our drinks. If you hear this running, that's fine. But what y'all need to do once every week, every 2 weeks, there's a line coming off of the air tank right here. That's called the accumulator tank. You just need to drain that because it'll fill up with water. All you gotta do is open this. See the water? Let the water drain out. That way you get the water out of the air tank. And then you'll push the syrup more efficiently. If the air compressor ever goes out, all you gotta do, where it says air to CO2 changeover, the same thing as the bulk tank. You just flip that to CO2, and then CO2 will then take over and start pushing the syrup. And then we know to fix the air compressor. This up on the wall is the water panel for the restaurant. If you ever have a leak or something up front on one of the machines and you need to cut the water off to that specific machine, that's where you're going to find it. So you'll see that we have like ABS, there's CO2 lines, there's reverse osmosis water, there's the ice machine water lines on that side. On this side you got iced tea, coffee machines, there's steamer lines. So if you ever have an issue with those, that's how you cut the water off to those specific things. These are our bulk Coke tanks, and here's how you switch over when you have one run out. Right now that one's connected. You'll see that the Coke syrup line's connected at the bottom. And on top you got the pressure line. If you're not sure, it says pressure on it. On the other tank, you see nothing's connected, and then you got a vent line connected on top. What you gotta do on the tank that you're gonna disconnect, I'm not going to actually do it right now because I don't want to mess up their system right now. But the first thing you would do is disconnect the tank pressure from the existing tank. And then you pull the syrup line off via this quick disconnect. All you got to do is pull it off like that. It's a quick disconnect like this. And then when you put it back on, make sure you pull this down all the way. Make sure when it's on all the way, that goes back all the way, and then you yank on it a couple times to make sure it's connected good. And once you connect the syrup line on the new tank, then you connect the pressure line after the syrup line on the new tank. And then on the old tank, that you switched over from, then you would take your vent line and connect to the old tank to relieve the pressure from the old tank. So to recap that, you would disconnect the pressure first, then disconnect the syrup. Then on the new tank, you would connect the syrup first, then the tank pressure. If you connect the pressure first, you're not going to be able to get that syrup line on. And then on the tank that you're disconnecting, you want to make sure you put that vent line on the top. It connects like this. All you got to do is push down, make sure these line up with these little tabs, push down and twist. The tank pressure line connects the same way.